but how do you move forward gracefully? Joining us now with that answer and more is executive coach Julie Couret. Julie, welcome back to
Great to see you.
Nice to see you. So starting out, what do we do if we embarrass ourselves by offending someone or maybe speaking out inappropriately? What do we do? What's step one, I guess?
So step one is to acknowledge the faux pas as inappropriate or misinformed. So in the very immediate moment to say, I was misinformed with that statement, my apologies, and continue on. But in that very moment, the very first thing you want to say, because you can embarrass yourself face-to-face or via email, so there's different ways to approach it depending the scenario. But if I'm right in front of you and I call you the wrong name, I'm like, hey, Elizabeth, I'm so excited for lunch next week, and you say, well, I'm Jacqueline, say, oh my goodness, that was very misinformed of me. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. So Jacqueline, tell me what you do. And move
on, right. I like that, yeah. So how do we make being embarrassed feel less awkward, less terrible?
I know, gosh, I tell you, because we all can think of moments that are so embarrassing and continue to beat ourselves up over it. You need to remember that everybody embarrasses ourselves, and you need to cut yourself a little slack. So in that moment, tell yourself, you know what, everybody embarrasses themselves, and the best thing I can do is just say something to rectify it in the moment, smile and move on, and remember that of all things, embarrassing moments, other people are the most compassionate about. That if you were to...
You're your own worst enemy almost.
Yes, and I think that in the case of embarrassing yourself, that really is a situation where everyone else is like, oh my gosh, it's totally okay, I've done that. Because not just the words we use, but what if you slip? Or trip down the stairs. I mean, there's all sorts of things that I have friends that have said, I'm still so embarrassed about that time I walked into the meeting and I tripped going on the stage. You're like, everyone does that. And if anything, look at people's faces to feel a little better, because I assure you they're looking at you saying, oh my gosh, oh no, oh I'm so sorry, I've been there myself.
Sure, definitely. We're all human. So tell us, what are some common professional mistakes and how do we overcome them?
Yes, not that I know about this from firsthand ever.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Naturally. So there could be the reply to all that was unintended, and so the wrong person was copied on a message. There could be calling someone the wrong name. I've made announcements congratulating people and it wasn't the right name, or the person was someone else that I thought they were. There could be where you inadvertently send a text message to a professional work associate or your boss, and it was a completely personal text that you meant to send to a friend. And those are a variety of ways that you could be sticking your foot in your mouth.
Sure, and not on purpose, of course. I mean, these are accidents.
Right, and there's different ways to move past them and to address it, because what you don't want to look like is that you didn't pay attention,
right,
and that you're not even addressing it, because then you would come off looking rude,
right,
or callous or tactless.
So how do you do that? There's a fine line, it sounds like, between addressing it but then moving on.
Yes.
You don't want to dwell on it forever, right?
Because the thing of it is, if I say something that I'm sticking my foot in my mouth, at the same time I might be embarrassing the other person because I'm calling you the wrong name, I'm giving you the wrong job title, or I'm saying, I can't believe that so-and-so is retiring. They're like, I'm not, it's not me. So if you don't say something, then it looks as if we don't care. But if we continue to say, I'm so sorry, now you're embarrassing me more, because now you're calling it out. So what you want to do is just acknowledge it and say, you know, that was, I misspoke with that. That was definitely a misstep on my part. So words like misstep, misspoke, I was misinformed, my apologies. So, and then change the subject. There are cases where I have had a faux pas, I quickly apologize, I was misinformed on that, and then I exit the situation.
Sure. You don't want to linger, maybe, depending on what situation.
No, I'm not kidding. Like, it is perfectly acceptable to say, pardon me for a moment, or you know what, I'm going to excuse myself, pardon me. Because sometimes there's nothing else you can do in that moment, and everybody wants to move along. And sometimes you can help nudge it along by asking a question, which forces the conversation to go in a different direction. I find also that if you do own it and say, oh my gosh, that was embarrassing, then it breaks the tension, and then that gives you a platform to bounce off from, to then change the subject or go in a different direction. Now, via email though, is a whole different thing.
Sure.
Because now it's right there in front of my face, and
there's no tone necessarily, right? So there you go. Yeah.
In an email, it might make sense to pick up the phone and call someone. And I say email, this could be social media. Even just this morning, I thought that I inadvertently shared information I was not supposed to share. And a friend of mine was like, whoa, there goes Julie, sharing the information. I was like, and so instead of getting engaged, I texted him and I said, was I not supposed to share that? He goes, no, I thought it'd be fun if we did it like this. I said, oh, okay. And then I felt a little embarrassed, so I said, you know what, maybe it wasn't my place to have said that. Next time, I'll be sure to run something past you before I talk about your business. And he's like, no, it was really fun. I'm glad the dialogue happened. But you just own it in that moment and say, next time I'll do this instead.
All right, good advice there. Thank you, my dear. All right, to learn more about Julie, head to 7602coach.com or call 504-723-8997.